Welcome to another video. It's been a while since we posted everything because we've been a little bit out of the loop, a little bit out of sorts since this Hurricane Helene had hit us here in Middle East Georgia. But today we're going to be talking about the 5 key things that we do before every recording session so we can stay more focused and more productive. Hey, if this interests you, don't go anywhere. We're going to get right into it. Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome to In the Studio with Ray Obrey. I'm with Second Chance Rising, and this is the channel that we talk about more than just about our own music and about our ministry, but about recording techniques and how we go about making music. And today we're talking about the 5 key things that we do before every recording session. So if that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, show us a little love, show us a little support. The number one thing is to have a good scratch track. It's nothing more frustrating for all the band to be into the studio and they haven't even heard or had any idea of what the song is going to sound like or what kind of song it is or how it's going to flow. That's whether we're recording our own music or whether I'm recording another band. It's always good to have that in advance. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. So let me show you a little bit about what we have here. It's basically here you can see on this particular song that we're going to start to do. It's just basically one single track of guitar and vocal, and it's got a click track. I've recorded that to the click the best I could. Also, I've got here how many seconds it's going to be, how long the song is. I'm kind of double checking that. For our band personally, I kind of like to keep the songs that I write somewhere around 3 minutes, and then I'll change this into bars. It's a little bit better for recording purposes. I've got the song laid out, the intro, the verse, chorus, turnaround, verse 2, chorus, typical song here, bridge, outro. So kind of got that already laid out in advance. So that's the number one thing that we want to do is to have that scratch track available. Number 2, the key thing before you even start a recording session is to have a production meeting. Now, this may be 2 or 3 hours before you actually record to go over the scratch track, to discuss things like tempo and key and any particulars that you want to talk about on the song. If I'm recording another band, I want to get all that information up front and have the session already started so we can save time on the actual recording part of it. It's very key, and we're going to discuss. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we discuss in those production meetings and how I keep that going, how I keep it organized. So number 3 is to have some type of a logbook or some type of way to keep track of your sessions, past sessions, and future sessions all in one place. I like to use this little tool. Let me show you here. So this is I found this on Etsy, I think it was. It's a SWRNL Songwriters Journal. I found one of these. It wasn't very expensive. They actually even printed my name on it. It's got a nice little clear protective coating here. A place that kind of tells you a little bit about the circle of fifths and some other information, some examples on how to use it. But I'll show you how I use it, which kind of leads into our next thing that we're going to be discussing on our production meeting, number 3, and that would be all your particulars about your song. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to determine which key it's going to be in. This particular song is going to be in the key of A here. This is one that we released earlier this year. We also have this somewhat charted out right out of the get-go. This is a 5-4-1-3 minor pattern. It looks like I was trying to decide whether to sing this in the key of A or G because I've wrote the chords out here because quite honestly, I'm not all that good of doing the Nashville number session, so I've got that kind of wrote out to save me some time. We've also just decided on 95 beats per minute. Looks like I might have had 92 and a question mark here before, so during that production meeting, I've decided on what key it's going to be and what speed the tempo of the song is going to be. I can't tell you how many times we've sat down in the early days getting ready to record a song, and I'm trying to sing this song later on in the session, and it's just too high for me or it's too low. It's just not a good fit. Sometimes we've gone ahead and recorded it anyhow. It maybe wasn't our best performance or my best performance. So don't waste time when you decide to start recording and laying down tracks. Have all of that worked out already. Also, on the tempo of the song, I mean, so many times that we just trying to decide on the tempo of songs, and we can be 2 or 3 hours into a session and still trying to decide that. So make sure you have all those particulars up front and just stick with it. stick with that process, make a decision, and then do the best job you can. Unless things really go south and you have to start back over, try to stick with that decision and make that right choice from the get-go. You know, the number 4 thing that we're going to do, and that's very important, is to chart the song out so everyone's on the same page. And that, so even if I've written the song, a lot of times I'm forgetting where I'm going because I've got maybe 3 or 4 different songs in my head. So typically this same song journal, I've charted the song out. BPM, beats per minute, 95 is a tempo. It's a 5541 times 2 on the intro. So I've got that charted out somewhat, so to speak. Also, something else that I do, I didn't mention before, is I'll have some references to the songs during our production meeting, some reference songs available. So I can see here for our song Prayer Session, Good Morning Mercy, I've got Jason from Jason Crabtree. I probably wanted that song to maybe have that kind of an upbeat type feel. So that's one of the things that I've got on there. I've got Rumors from Lee Brice, snare. So I probably like the way the snare sounded that song. Jason Aldean, Rich Redmond. I've got Bridge. I think there may have been one of his songs. I think maybe one of his songs, there was a bridge part that I really liked that I wanted to maybe try to incorporate into our song. So a lot of times you can check out some reference songs, you know, if you're producing the song yourself. Reference some songs that if you like a particular kick drum sound, a particular snare drum sound, or whatever that may be, you know, make that in the reference notes ahead of time. So when you get ready to start laying down the tracks, try to get the sound as close to that as you can, so you've got less work to do in the mixing process. So the 5th key thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with some ideas on the production, and I'm going to put those in this same song journal to kind of help me through the process. Now I'll kind of show you a little bit of what I mean here. You can see here where I've got this charted out for the verse 1, chorus, verse 2. And over here to the right of this, I've got like verse 1. I'm going to introduce a shaker in here. Looks like I'm going to have guitars left and right. I got acoustic coming in. I'm going to use the mid-side recording method in the verse. So if you don't know what that is, maybe I'll do a video on that later. Leave a comment down below and we'll talk about that. Here in the chorus, I'm going to bring in a tambourine. Guitars are still left and right. So I begin to start to lay out some production ideas on where I want, if we're going to drop out on the bridge, or if we're going to build a certain section, and just want to start kind of discussing that with the band, get their ideas. And once we have all those 5 things nailed down in this production meeting and they're kind of charted out and jotted down into this song journal, it certainly makes the recording process much easier. So when we may do that for a few hours before we actually start to record. Typically for us, or if I'm even recording another band, I like to have that done because we're typically doing 3 or 4 songs. I like to have all that done on a whole separate day. So when we come in to record and I hit that record button, hey, we're off and going. We've got all of our notes. I may already have the tempo and the templates already set up as a recording session. All the names, songwriters already entered in all the metadata. So it certainly helps the process and the flow, saves time in the studio, especially if you're paying for it. I hope this video has given you some great ideas and some ways to save time and cost in your next recording project. Hey, if you found this helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video. It certainly helps us grow the channel. Hey, we love you and God loves you. Keep looking up.